A fresh new championship and 2 rounds under the belt as these riders get set to roll into the red clay of Georgia. The big question is, will anyone be able to stop Walker Fowler? Stick around. GNCC on MAVTV is next.
Are you ready to go GNCC Racing?
Hello and welcome to Aonia Pass Motocross Park near Washington, Georgia for round number 3 of the 2020 GNCC Series. This is the specialized General GNCC. I'm Rodney Tomlin, and of course a week ago we were in the sands of Florida at the Wild Boar GNCC where we saw the young New York native Devin Feehan get off to the early lead, at least the whole shot in this one, with a host of talent behind him, including the number 3 of Chris Borch, who quickly found himself out front and quickly found himself trying to give it away. On board here with Bryson Neal, you can see that Borch, one of those riders that didn't like to lead early, lets Neal go by, and of course Neal takes the reins, and from that point on it was a drag race just trying to keep up with the number 2. Walker Fowler was able to work his way through the field, finally up to the number 2 spot, and not far behind them Cole Richardson joined the duo as it became a 3-way shootout in the final miles. Of course, Walker Fowler able to make the pass on Bryson Neal. Bryson Neal trying to charge back. He makes a pass, then clips a tree with about a mile left to go in the race. Both Walker Fowler and Cole Richardson get by, but amazingly, Bryson Neal remounts that machine and right back around the number 4 of Cole Richardson for second place, but it was too little, too late, even for the hard charging and fast ride of Bryson Neal. And Walker Fowler remains undefeated there in the sands of Florida at the Hog Waller for the Wild Boar GNCC.
When I got lost the second time, Bryson was in the lead, and that's not a guy you want, leading a race with that number 2 on the bike. So I just tried to keep, my head in the game. Got hooked up with Hart, and he was riding really good, and we quit losing time, and I think that was really important for me to see, 50 seconds, 45 seconds, 50 seconds. We stuck right there, and I was like, all right, I got to get around him, and then I just got to keep motoring forward. Right here, coming in the white flag, we caught Bryson, and I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be an exciting one. And just before the finish line, some fans had cleared out a little bit of not enough of a spot to really get through, but I just kind of wheelied over a little tree and was able to get the lead, and I was like, man, oh man, this is gonna be a good one. And man, we all went back and forth, the 3 of us. Bryson passed me at the 9, and second he got around me, he clipped the tree root, went backwards into a tree, flipped the bike, never let go of the handlebars, damn near didn't wreck it, but then the tire finally sucked him under the bike and he got ran over by his own bike. So I ended up getting back out in front of him, but I knew that I had to keep pushing hard because the way he crashed, I don't even know if his tether came undone. So I knew he was going to get up quick. And rode it into the finish line, about 2-3 seconds for the win. I think he was maybe 15 seconds back, and he was riding good all day, so hats off to him. But he had to come back from almost a minute. We'll take that win. That was a John Force interview right there, minus all the yelling.
That was an amazing ride and big win for Walker Fowler. Bryson Neal takes second. Cole Richardson hangs on for third. The young Hunter Hart in his sophomore season in fourth place. Jared McClure rounds out your top 5. And, of course, you see some of the major talents there through the top 10 as we roll into Georgia now. 2 hours of racing, a mix of sand and mud at Aonia Pass Motocross Track. Looking at a 12-mile race course today. Had a lot of rain in the week leading up to this, in the weeks, I should say, leading up to this. We were expecting some mud down here, but these course conditions have been nothing but prime and perfect. And speaking of prime and perfect, looks like a perfect start for the 6-time GNCC champion, Chris Borch. And we know that he doesn't like to lead earlier. Will that change now that Walker Fowler is right behind him off the start? Here in Georgia as we roll into this one, the Specialized General GNCC. Look at that, Hunter Hart in the 3rd place position. Wesley Wolf, a good start for him. He's up to a 4th place position to kick off this first lap of racing. So a nice solid ride for him, and another lackluster start it looks like there for Josh Merritt. And I think I saw Cole Richardson and Bryson Neal Not with such great starts. Big start here for the XC2 Pro-Am class as Ronnie Rush on the Teely Energy Racing Machine is going to grab the early lead in this one. We got Austin Adley, Noah Mickelson, and of course the two-time winner so far, Drew Landers, close in tow on this one as well, as these riders get it all mixed up here as we check it out from the Yamaha Racing Skycam for the XC2 Pro-Am class. It's been an exciting one to watch so far this season as well. Well, it looks like Walker Fowler's gotten around, whether he was led around or got around himself around the number 3 of Chris Borich. Hunter Hart back there. Also, we see that the 741 of Wesley Wolf got a great start in this one and doing battle for that number 3 top overall position early on. 12 miles of racing, 2 hours. We got a lot of things to sort out in the meantime, but these top 4 riders so far aren't too far apart. There is still Hart in that number 3 spot, and that is Wesley Wolf in that number 4 position as we open up lap number 1 here at Aonia Pass. Will he be able to hang on to it? Will anyone be able to stop Walker Fowler? Stick around to find out. GNCC continues after this. Coverage of the 2020 Grand National Cross Country Series on MAVTV is brought to you in part by Specialized Turbo E-Bikes. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATV MC, get ready. And by Yamaha, revs your heart. And welcome back to GNCC on MAVTV from Aonia Pass in Washington, Georgia. I'm Rodney Tomlin, and that is Walker Fowler out front. That is Chris Borich back at the number 2 spot, and we are watching high above with the Yamaha Racing Skycam. And I'll tell you, this has been a great addition in previous seasons as far as our television coverage is concerned. But, wow, with the tree coverage not as thick and dense as far as the leaves are concerned, we're really able to get in there and see a lot more of that action through a lot more of the race course. And you can see Walker Fowler still out front, but the amazing thing is the 75-time winner and 6-time GNCC champion on that Phoenix Racing Honda of Chris Borich is still close in tow. This gives a lot of old school Borich fans a whole lot of hope, especially with the new ride that Chris Borich has with Phoenix Racing Honda. So a lot of things to be excited about. And also, if you're a Hunter Hart fan, something to be excited about. We've seen some good, consistent, and fast runs for him. And how about this for the 741 of Wesley Wolf, fresh off the Daytona ATV Supercross just a few days ago at Daytona International Speedway. He went to GNCC in Palatka, raced Daytona ATV Supercross, and now here just a few short days later is back at it in Georgia. So good run there for the 741. We'll be keeping an eye out for him all day long. A little further down the trail here on lap number 1, both riders beginning to stretch things out in this first and second place position, but third place maybe falling a little bit further back, but the battle just as intense. Things are really starting to tighten up quite a bit here. We see Jared McClure's trying to put his hat into the ring. Back a little further, almost 7th place position, we're seeing Bryson Neal, and also right behind him in 8th place, the number 4 of Cole Richardson. So a couple of the key players way off pace to get things started here in round number 3. You have to wonder if maybe being so close together with Georgia and Florida has maybe taken a little bit of a toll, if not physically, at least mentally on some of these guys, as they're maybe trying to put a little bit of reserve out there. Now, you can't say that these guys aren't used to racing week after week, because they'll race a national, then race a local the next weekend. But the intensity of a national obviously expelling a lot more energy, and not only that, Florida was extremely rough conditions this year with dry. The track got deep and rough and rutted, and look at that, the number 2 of Bryson Neal up to 3rd, and the number 5 of Jared McClure still in a 4th place position. We've lost Hunter Hart somewhere, so they're trying to get it all sorted out there. But the big news there is that we see that Neal has made up a lot of time and now has the number 4 of Cole Richardson. So he's moved to within striking distance of the top 5 himself. So this is getting pretty interesting here on lap number 2 as we approach the halfway point, nearing the 1 hour mark of this 2-hour battle that we're seeing unfold here in the ATV racing world. Here comes Hunter Hart. He has dropped all the way back. That looks like he is outside the top 10, if not top 10 physically. Definitely top 10 in the overall right now, as he has lost some time and trying to make up that ground right now. But we know that he's fast, he's quick, and he's one of those riders that has really gained some confidence. So we may see some big strides out of him here in Georgia. There is Walker Fowler finally finding a little bit of breathing room at the midway point of the race. The big question is, can Bryson Neal close that gap? He's rolling with a head full of steam. Stick around to find out. Welcome back to GNCC on MAVTV for the Specialized General GNCC and, of course, Specialized E-Turbo bikes. Bring the EMTB GNCC round number 1. After a first year of full national championship racing, Hot Rod Charlie Mullins, we see him donning the plate there of number 1, was your national champion. And, of course, we had a host of riders, the biggest turnout we've seen in EMTB GNCC racing. Nearly 70 riders taking to the trail out here. Of course, Charlie Mullins finding some early challenges, but it wasn't long before we saw the number 1 out front pushing the rest of the field. A lot of amateur riders. Saw a great turnout of the women's class, and that was something we weren't seeing a lot of last season. Ashley Hendershot, the women's defending champion. Glad to see that, and Charlie Mullins also glad to see the competition that we saw in this first round of EMTB GNCC racing. Now, if you're wondering what EMTB is, it's electric mountain bike racing. It doesn't look so electric, but what these are pedal assist bikes. You put energy, and the bike expels energy, and of course, it's a great training tool that these riders in the off-road world have used, but now has become a national championship way of racing also. And former 2-time GNCC motorcycle champ Hot Rod Charlie Mullins takes the opening round win after basically dominating in the 2019 championship. Will he do it again here in 2020? We'll have to wait and see. So we pick the action back up here on lap number 3. Walker Fowler beginning to stretch things out over the rest of the field now. And you can see he is getting deep into some lap traffic, but the lap traffic wisely getting out of the way of Walker Fowler, allowing him to cruise on by with a little bit of open track ahead of him, able to stretch things out a little more over second place ride. Still the number 3 of Chris Borch. You see him shaking his head there, not liking the way that he hit that little mud section there. He's losing a lot of time. That was more time that he lost. Now you got to take into consideration when he loses time on Walker Fowler, he's also losing time on that third place ride, the number 2 there. You see a Bryson Neal up to the number 3 spot. Jared McClure back in that number 4 position, as there's no change for him, and up to the 5th place position is the number 4 of the Cole train, Cole Richardson now. So we see that he was in 8th place at the end of lap number 1, and now up to a top 5 position and closing gap there. Still Borge back there in that number 2 position, and it appears that that gap is closing up. Here comes Bryson Neal now, that 3rd place position. So the former champ may be feeling some heat from this young gun pretty soon, and it looks like Bryson Neal may be a little more by himself right now. And I know that Bryson Neal is kind of looking for a little redemption after scoring no points in round 1 at the Big Buck GNCC, having some chain problems. He boated some of the fastest lap times of the day, but couldn't put it all together, seems to be the story. And once he gets it put together, it could be a force to be reckoned with. Speaking of forces to reckon with, there's Cole Richardson now up to the number 4 position, and there is the number 5 of Jared McClure dropping back to a 5th place position. So he's still a top 5 ride and may have a pretty good tow truck ahead of him to help him catch the rest of the field. That's what happens. These guys latch on, get a little inspiration, follow some faster lines, and then maybe try to strike a little later in the race. We've heard that story told so many times over the years. Right now, Chris Borge doesn't have anyone to latch on with, but he will have someone to push him here pretty soon, as a little closer now is the number 2 of Bryson Neal, the Bidwell Bullet out of southeastern Ohio. He is one of the few Southern Ohio boys racing the GNCC series, and the only Southern Ohio boy who is a professional GNCC ATV racer. Out near the 10-mile marker now, Chris Borch still holding steady in 2nd, but the thing that he has to worry about is the noises that are getting closer and closer by the 2nd, and that is Bryson Neal still laying chase from back there in that number 3 position here on lap number 3. So nearing the completion of this race. Got a little over a lap left to go. It's a 12-mile race course. This is mile 10, so 2 more miles to the finish line. So a lap and 2 miles to go for this rider, Walker Fowler, who once again finds himself alone at the head of the pack and trying to stretch things out. This is where Walker Fowler wants to be, in total control. Will he be in total control at the checkers as Bryce Neal lays the chase and closes the gap? Stick around to find out. Coverage of the 2020 Grand National Cross Country Series on MAVTV is brought to you in part by Specialized Turbo e-bikes. It's you, only faster. Rocky Mountain ATV MC, get ready. And by Yamaha, revs your heart. Welcome back to Aonia Pass and Washington, Georgia for this third round of the 2020 GNCC season, presented by Specialized. Walker Fowler here in the final moments out front and has nearly a minute lead over the rest of the field. Well, a 59-second lead at the end of lap number 3 as Bryson Neal had gotten around Chris Borich and now is laying chase to the number 1. So it is the number 2 in second, and Bryson Neal has some ground to make up. Like we said, nearly a minute. We're already starting to see a little of that time made up, and we're already starting to see that Chris Borich is finding himself a long road to hoe as this race wears on. Either mistakes, mechanical issues, or maybe just fatigue starting to set in, but whatever the case may be, Walker Fowler has things dialed in and is hoping to be able to take this one on home to the checkers without the challenge that he saw just a week ago. Ooh, nearly clipping that tree. You see, those mistakes can compound very quickly, but that one not a huge or monumental mistake for the number 2 machine. It looks like Jared McClure now all over the rear wheels of the number 3 of Chris Borich for this third place position. So we got a battle going on for this one. While those two battle for the final podium spot, Walker Fowler slapping 5 to the crowd and capturing the win here in Georgia, making it 3 in a row here to kick off the 2020 Grand National Cross Country Championship. Let's head down to the winner's circle.
Honestly, other than this place being either a swamp or like it was today, it was about normal. The only dusty spots were these open sections, but the woods were about prime. It's just real spongy soil. You kind of fight the machine all day, real hard to steer. But man, this bike was working as good as it could. Like I said, the conditions are just tough. It's tough for this is a track where a big, strong guy like Taylor Kaiser used to be, or Bryson Neal, these bigger guys. It definitely caters to them. But I just knew that get a good start. That's always good, no matter what you're doing, and just try to run my pace and see who wanted to latch on. And I guess Chris listened to my Sunday stroll comment last race. He was not on a Sunday stroll this one. He latched on, and we put on a real heater those first 2 laps. I yoked him a little bit right before the pits, and I had a real good pit stop. That 6-second gap, just being a turn and a half ahead of someone is just is not saying it's demoralizing, but it's really hard as a rider to bridge that gap. And I knew if I could just ride smart, ride smooth, and kind of get 10-15 seconds, I could build on it. And we did just that. Obviously, Bryson had a real good last lap. I didn't feel like I lost that much time, but I guess I did. But like I said last race, it doesn't matter if you win by 1 minute or 1 second. A win's a win, and we just keep clicking these things off. That's what champions do. We put ourselves in a position to win, and we do our job.
Walker doing his job, no doubt about it, as he takes 3 in a row to kick off the 2020 season. Bryson Neal, his second consecutive second place overall after that season-opening DNF at the Big Buck. Borich, McClure, and Adam McGill in 5th.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't easy today. Whenever I was going to tech inspection, every time I went to hit my start button, the bike would just take a pause and go, whoop, and then turn. So checked the battery voltage. The kicker battery was low, so I had a brand new battery in stock, replaced it, charged it up right before the race, and as soon as I took off to go to the line, fired right up. So I'm like, okay, I'm good. Do the intros, all that's good. He says 10 seconds, green flag. I'm hitting the button, there's nothing. I'm dead last. First lap, I don't know if something got around my brake line. I had no front brakes, and then I was losing my rear brakes because I was overriding them, and I was just like a yo-yo, man. I was getting tossed around. Guys were passing me. I was passing them back, and getting shuffled. I finally, at the end of lap 2, kind of got around some guys and I was able to use more of my rear brake and my engine brake, and then after the pit stop, my front brakes, they started to come back. I don't know why or how, but I'm lucky. But I had to ride with my front finger, just keeping that tension. And man, I was able to put in a really good charge. And man, there's Elka shocks by Impact Solutions, Casey Creek. Those things were floating today. My bike was handling so good. The CST tires, I felt awesome. Gained all kinds of gallon third lap, fourth lap, felt great, never got tired. I'm super happy, end up with second. Wasn't easy, but hey, I was just talking to myself in my head. I was like, come on, find a way, like try to get there, because on the first lap, it wasn't looking too hot for me today.
Well, I'll tell you, he digs deep. There's no doubt about it. And if he keeps digging deep like that, there's no telling what we'll see. And speaking of telling what we'll see, look at this. The battle down to the wire once again. And this is for the third place position between Jared McClure and Chris Borch. Chris Borch comes away with third place.
Yeah, we felt really good. We got the whole shot there, and Walker had a good line. Ended up getting in front of me, and I'm like, all right, I got to do whatever it takes to run with him. And we were just pushing, was able to hang with him, and we came into the pits. Pits just took a little longer than his. He jumped out, got a couple seconds on us, and then from there it was really hard to try to close in on him, lost some time, and I made a couple mistakes on my own, getting stuck in a couple ruts, and that's when Bryson ended up catching up to me, and yeah, we were able to get it on the podium here.
Well, Chris Borch grabbing a podium as we take a look at the Specialized race recap in this one. Off and rolling, Chris Borch actually got the whole shot, earned himself a few extra bucks as far as the whole shot award is concerned, and had Walker Fowler right there with them to kick things off. They eventually were able to separate themselves from the rest of the field. A good start also by the young gun, the number 7 of Hunter Hart. Now, Hart finds himself finishing a little further back at the end of it, but man, if he can put things together, he's going to be one to watch out for. And one to watch out for is Bryson Neal, who started out, as he said, in dead last place position, working his way through the pack. All the while, Chris Borch and Walker Fowler were dueling it out for the first and second place positions. Borch losing a little bit of time out there, which was all that Walker Fowler needed to stretch things out. We saw nearly a minute gap open up as we rolled into the final moments of the third lap of racing. This rider, the number 2 of Bryson Neal, was able to make the pass on Chris Borch into the second place position, and try as he may, he was gaining time, but not nearly enough time, as Walker Fowler still nearly 50 seconds over the rest of the field at the checker flag. And this guy, the number 2 of Bryson Neal, Fowler rolling in, taking the win, slapping high fives to the fans all the while, and continuing his undefeated streak. His teammate Drew Landers also continues undefeated in the XC2 Pro-Am class. He was followed by Austin Abney and Ronnie Rush. And that's going to wrap things up for us from Washington, Georgia. For all of us here at RacerTV and MAVTV, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day, everybody.